will the average Canadian home price decline or increase in 2025, and by how much? And we just mentioned it, but the average price is currently $696,000, up 6% in 2024. Well, I mean, it's hard though, because like you got inventory issues, you've got people waiting on the sidelines, you got rate cuts.
So I'm going. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into the Canadian Private Lenders Podcast, a show covering the private lending industry, the mortgage broker space, and the Canadian economy. Your hosts are Neal and Ryan and Ryan McNeil. Enjoy.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It's episode 62 of the Canadian Private Lenders Podcast with your hosts, Ryan and Neal. Neal, welcome back, buddy.
Thank you very much. I was moving around here, but thank you. Yeah, I was on a little trip to Europe.
Again?
And I got to see London. I hadn't really spent much time in London, so that was interesting. And then I went skiing in the Alps in Italy and Switzerland, which was really cool as well.
Unreal.
Yeah. So
Unreal.
Very expensive over there. Holy frig.
I believe you. I was over in London in the fall as well and was kind of shocked at the price points of things, and nobody seemed too fazed by it over there. But
no, they're just moving along. It's ordinary business.
Like you said, what, 15 million for a townhouse in the core?
Yeah. Holy.
No big deal.
Jesus. And $1 million cars driving around, no big deal.
Yeah.
And I was in Harrods and I just grabbed a juice from a little smoothie bar thing they have in there.
Yeah.
Check out my Apple Pay on my phone. It's $19.74 for a juice. That was I'm telling you, half of that is maybe 250 milliliters.
Yeah.
It's I just paid $20. But yeah, no, it was interesting.
Speaking of lots of money, did you hear about Kanye purchasing this $35 million property in Beverly Hills?
I had not. You were just saying that you want to show me this Kanye article. I don't know what he's up to, but
breaking news. Kanye uses private money. Can't qualify for bank financing.
Why wouldn't he just rent?
Good question. It looks like he took out loans of about $15 million from multiple lenders. I think it's 3 or 4 different lenders here. And this article is hilarious. Why? One of the private lenders, Richard Glassman, who contributed to the funding, explained his confidence in the deal. With a 40% loan to value ratio, it's a solid investment. If Kanye defaults, we end up with a $35 million property. But we hope he pays. It's all about the return on investment, Glassman said. Oh my God.
I guess. But I mean, if he's got $20 million to throw down, couldn't he invest the $20 million and rent the place?
Doesn't seem how much do $35 million properties appreciate? Right? What's the upside here? And I don't know. I'm sure it's an insane, beautiful property, but
I think he's had some success because he had some other properties before that I know he's done really well on.
Right.
I remember him making a fortune on them, and I'm wondering if I've exhausted all avenues. I've now completely hosed my relationships with every brand.
Yeah.
And I now need to go to the traditional old real estate investing.
Yeah. The one thing I didn't like about this article is that Kanye reportedly secured a $15.5 million in loans from various high-risk lenders to close the purchase.
Of course.
And this is a tabloid place, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, have some respect for the private lending industry. Just kidding. I thought that was kind of cool. But
employment. I do gigs. I'm on a gig.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a couple gigs for Kanye. Anyways, all right, Neal, let's get into today's episode here. So thought it was prudent, since we're at the start of a new year here, to recap our 2024 predictions, which we did a year ago.
Yep.
And then let's dive into some predictions for 2025.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a big year, right?
Oh, nice. You pulled up all the old numbers.
I got the numbers, man.
Let's go.
I was working hard while you were away, buddy. Hold down the fort.
Let's go.
All right, let's jump right into it. Okay, so of course, our first thing was talking about rates, right? So, this is the hot topic for the last several years, really, but especially so in 2024. There were how many rate announcements? My brain's not working right now. 7, 8,
yeah.
8, right? Yeah, there's always 8. We both predicted, and I misremembered this. We both predicted the first rate cut would be in April.
We were excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
But
it was all the news.
I
so.
thought I held off a bit longer, and I thought I was going to get this one right. But the actual first rate cut was in June, so we were both 0 for on the prediction number one.
We missed by one.
We missed by one cut.
Yeah.
April 10th, and then June 5th was the actual one. The next one. The next one was by how much is the Bank of Canada going to cut or hike the overnight rate in 2024? And the overnight rate at the start of the year, if you don't recall, was 5%.
Yeah.
So I was more conservative on this, although I didn't think I was being that conservative. You were a bit more aggressive and you were closer here. So I said 75 beeps. You said 125 beeps. As of December, it was actually 175 beeps and still going.
If I had, I probably should listen to the episode in advance, but I was probably a little more concerned about where things are going and saying that they need to do this to try and prop up the marketplace.
Yeah. If I recall correctly, I think that you were a bit concerned about inflation and it potentially going the other way at the start of the year. But remember, I guaranteed there was going to be no rate hikes, right? So I got that one right at least.
You did. We'll talk about, I guess, 2025, but
Yeah.
I remain concerned. Anyways.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But okay, so you took the point on that, right? You were closer
Okay.
on number 2 here.
Okay.
Number 3, will the average Canadian home price decline or increase in 2024, and by how much?
Yeah.
Going into 2024, it was an average price of $655,000, which was up 2% from 23. I said 3%. You said 5%. Actual, you were pretty damn close. It was it's up to 696 plus 6% in the year.
Not bad.
2-0 for Neal. How about that?
Let's go.
All right. And then closer to home here, will the average Nova Scotian home price decline or increase in 2024, and by how much?
Yep.
Going into the year, 402,000, up 5.5 versus 23. Neal, you said it was going to the moon at plus 10%. I said it was going to go up 6%. I'm going to take the point on this one. It was actually up 6% to 444. Okay.
Wait. 444 is 10%.
I don't know what I'm doing then. My math is off. I'm glad you checked it. What's going on here?
I got to be careful. He's trying to steeze me out of some points here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely blew it. You nailed it. 10%.
10%.
I am over still. And this may be an insurmountable lead.
I was about to say,
I don't know what I did with my math there. Oh, I probably copied it down from the line before, but that's sloppy. Anyways.
And I was going to say, like being on the street, it feels like the houses are still going up like
for
crazy here.
For sure. Yeah. And I was actually kind of surprised to see that number, but that makes way more sense. It was actually up 10% in Nova Scotia this year.
Yeah.
I don't think we actually made predictions or solid ones on the other 3 provinces, but quickly going through it,
Holy frig.
PEI up 3% to 393. Newfoundland up 13% to 319. And I know it was a very hot year in talking to our broker partners over there. And New Brunswick, we both had predicted it was going to go way up. It was up 8% to 322.
Nice.
Okay.
Everyone's doing well.
So another interesting one we got into here. I think we've got 2 more to go. Will housing starts increase or decline in Canada in 2024, and by how much? So as of October 2023, starts were seasonally adjusted at 257, up 2% up the prior year.
257,000.
257,000, of course.
Yep.
And I had predicted it was going to go up by 4.5%. You said it was actually going to decline by 2%. We kind of met in the middle on this one. It was actually flat for the year in terms of housing starts across the country.
To just take the average of what we say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Close enough, right? You've already won, Neal, so take the point. Last one here. So will housing starts increase or decline in 2024? And this is in Atlantic Canada, and by how much? In October of 2023, housing starts were 15,550 plus 7 versus the prior year. So I'm using the same period, October 2024 year to date.
Yeah.
I said it was going to be up 9%. You said it was going to be up 8%, and you actually jokingly said it was going to be up 20%, and I laughed at you. It was actually up 29% this year.
Damn it, I should have stuck with my gut feeling.
You should have stuck with it. So I'm taking the 1 point there with my 9 versus your 8. But yeah, I think you crushed me 6. I lost count, but I think it was about 6-1 or 5-1. But anyway, so we were pretty far off overall across the board. I mean, not surprisingly, it was a very volatile year overall, I think, right? But what are your thoughts on wrapping up 2024 here?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say, I feel like I had the general direction. Maybe not the exact.
Directionally right.
I was directionally right. But I mean, I think it kind of made sense. And actually, this was nice for me to see because I think all the time I'm questioning where my mindset's at. And this gives me some more confidence and feeling better about them. But really the biggest difference was, because I mean, the price changes are all fairly reasonable. It's funny that I said the plus 20% on housing growth and
Starts.
it on starts.
Yeah.
It's a little surprising, but I think the part that I'm realizing that's surprising is how many people just remain, I don't want to say blindly bullish, but blindly bullish is what I
Mm-hmm.
feel like. Because I said that jokingly, because at the time, just there's stuff blowing out of every corner, everywhere you went, people are building, building, building,
Yep.
building. And that's still going on, even though there's like very clearly a huge shift in the marketplace.
Yep.
And guys are just like still head down in the sand, just being like, no, we're still building. And I honestly wonder sometimes if it's like an ego thing or like a competitive thing or what it is, because guys are just like, well, I got this big building getting started. And I'm like, wouldn't you want to like pause for a second here and just take a look at what's going on and maybe think twice about it? And so
Yeah.
to me, again, I said that as a joke, and now I'm like, well, people just keep going.
Are you referring to it potentially being overbuilt locally here?
Very much so.
Yeah. Okay,
Very
that's what I
much so.
figured. Ben Rabideau was on the Looney Hour podcast last week, and
Yeah.
he was talking about, or I guess it was a couple of weeks when this comes out, but he was talking about markets that are looking like they're overbuilt right now in terms of inventory. And he mentioned, I think it was Alberta and Saskatchewan, and then said Atlantic Canada is also looking like it's overbuilt as well. And I mean, you can see it with rental uptakes, right, and vacancy rates increasing here. So
I think Alberta's gonna be okay. I think we might be the one that's really overbuilt.
Yeah, we'll see. It's pretty crazy what you see downtown Dartmouth, Wise Road, Windmill Road.
It's
lots
mental.
Going on. Yeah,
mental.
Lots
That
going
is a changing neighborhood.
Yeah, so let's keep rolling into 2025 here and see how many we can get wrong going into this year.
Perfect.
Neil.
I'm ready to go.
We've got 10 rate announcement dates for 2025, January 29th, March 12th, April 16th, June 4th, July 30, September 17th, October 29th, and December 10th. Right off the hop here, we talked about this back in September. So probably, 10 episodes ago. The big five banks released their predictions for where rates were going, their forecast for balance of 24 and into the end of 2025. Anything catch your eye on the final line there for end of Q4 2025, where the overnight rates are sitting?
What's the median expectation? No, what is it?
We're already at 3.25. And the big five predictions were like...
Oh, Jesus, that's an extra year. My bad.
Year.
Sorry.
That's next year.
I'm like, yeah, that's Q4 2024.
So,
that
for
seems
example,
right.
like BMO projected that the overnight rate would be 3.5 at the end of 2025. It's already below that now, right?
No way. Yeah, I'm seeing this now. This is the
Bank of Nova Scotia was at 3.25, and the other three were either 2.75 or 3. And some people are saying we could get a 50 basis points cut in January, right? And already be at 2.75. We're talking 11, 12 months before most of the banks projected we would be.
Concerning.
Yeah, definitely.
Concerning. They're not doing that because things are great.
No,
that's
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Especially with the U.S. not cutting as fast either, right? Like they only cut 25 basis points on their cut this past week, mid-December, and it's not looking rosy.
No, it's
next
not.
Year, right?
I'm still very much learning all of these things, but I guess I say this to a few people, but when you see them giving tax breaks and cutting rates, it's not because the economy is doing well. It's quite the opposite. They're doing it to try and stimulate the economy.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're being this aggressive and just pulling every stop to try and keep things alive, to me, is extremely concerning.
Totally.
And then from my understanding, in comparison to the States, it's causing a lot of depreciation of our currency, combined with the fact that bond yields are growing and we're not getting the foreign direct investment that they were hoping to get, which is kind of was supposed to be like the big value thing that we get from this, and it's not seemingly it's going to happen. So that's a little scary. So I guess the question is, when will the first rate cut be and how much will it be?
Yeah, so it may be a little bit easier to predict this year than it was last year. You want to go? Well, why don't you go first? I feel like I gave you all the answers last year and you just tacked on that and beat me by a point.
That's always what I do.
Playing Price is Right rules over here.
I just went up or down by one.
Exactly.
I'm going to say March.
Wow.
Just
okay.
To spice it up.
Wow. Okay. And by how much?
25.
25. Okay. So, sentiment 2 weeks ago was that we're getting another 50 in January. It feels like that's eased off a bit, especially with the U.S. cut only being 25.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick to January 29th, and I'm going to say 25 beeps as well.
Okay.
Moving right along. Question 2.
How much will they cut in 2025 as a whole?
Oh, we want to talk about that? Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. Wow. That's a tricky one. So we're at 3.25 at the time of recording, right? 3.25.
If rates go back up at the end of the year, is that being how
Yeah, for sure.
So we're
whatever
saying
whatever
overall
it is
blend.
at the end of December or after the final rate cut in 2025.
That's where it levels.
That's what we'll trace this back to. I will say it's going down 100 basis points this year, so it'll be 2.25.
Can I agree with you?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
We're both saying
I'm
2.25.
hedging here by
Everyone's been
taking
saying
a tie
100
versus a
bips.
loss. Yeah, but the forecast has already changed so much versus where the banks were 2 months ago, right?
Yeah, I'm just I'm in my head about
How
the
far
fact,
can it go down?
I think it might go past that, and then they might have to bring it back up 25 a little bit, or 50 or 25. So it might go down 125,
And then you might,
and then get a little bump up near the very last announcement.
yeah. I feel like Tiff's going to get tired of going back and forth, and he's just going to find a level, and he's just going, he's holding for 3 years after that.
He's like, whether you guys like it or not, this is where we sit now.
Yeah, exactly. So you're sticking with 2.25?
I'm
Down
going
100 basis points?
down 100 basis points,
Okay.
and March 25 bips is the first cut.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Next question here. Will the average Canadian home price decline or increase in 2025? And by how much? And we just mentioned it, but the average price is currently $696,000, up 6% in 2024.
So increase by...
It's a tricky one.
This is a tricky one. Sorry, we're going to average Canadian.
Yeah, across the board.
Increase by 3%.
Conservative guess there. I'm going to say it's going to go a little higher. I'm going to say it's another 6% in 25.
Yeah, actually, with all the rate cuts, that's not a bad.
Well, I mean, it's hard though, because you got inventory issues, you've got people waiting on the sidelines, you got rate cuts, but it's hard. I don't know. You want to stick to it, or you want to change?
I like your number, but I'll stick to mine.
Okay, sounds good. Will the average Nova Scotia home price decline or increase in 2025, and by how much? And we're currently at $444,000, up 6% this year.
I'm going plus. It's psycho that these numbers are just relentlessly plus. That's the other thing. It just seems like what the hell?
Yeah, but at least it's not plus 25, plus 30 anymore, right?
Yeah, that was mental. That was ridiculous. Just trying to think, because the next year is going to go through. Economy's going to be shit, but there's a bunch of people who want to buy. Everyone's obsessed with homes. They're making amortizations longer. Rates are going to be down. Yeah. They're going to keep putting out incentives, so they're going to keep driving the housing market, but I think it's going to level out a bit. Plus 5. I'm a bit more pessimistic on Nova Scotia. I think we're going to level out. I will go plus 4. Okay. You see my strategy now? I see your strategy. After what you did last year? Yeah. Okay. Will housing starts to increase or decline in 2025, and by how much? Average starts in, let's just say 2024, or 225,000, which was flat. So this includes apartments and houses? I think so. Because I think for owner-occupied homes, I think it's going to go explosive. But I don't know what that looks like in comparison to apartments, because apartments, a one start is actually 80 versus housing is not as much. So that's a weird one. Right, I don't know how you want me to go first here? Sure. Let me hear what you guys say. I think starts are going to increase. So what was it? It was flat last year across the country. I'm going to say it's a modest increase. On what premise? On the fact that there's still inventory issues across the board, and it's not localized. We don't see it all here, right? People still want the new product. We're not anywhere really near affordability, I wouldn't say yet. So can I put increase on single family homes, decrease on... Well, just mix it in your head and take an average and write it down. But a whole neighborhood's only one apartment building. Well, that's I'm saying flat. Okay, great. Flat. Last question here, Neal. Will housing starts increase or decline in Atlantic Canada in 2025, and by how much? As of for last year, seasonally adjusted, it was 13,700 plus 29 since a year ago. That is insane. And I'm in the same problem. I think we're going to have a shit ton of homes being built, and I think apartment building construction is going to fall off a cliff. I'm saying decline. Yeah. You know what? Decline 10%. I'm saying a decline too. I'm going to go even more aggressive. I'm going 15 down. A lot of big changes after last year's results. Heated episode here, Leo. Yeah. We're fired up after not being in studio together for a while. So, yeah, okay. So we kind of ripped through that pretty quick. Any comments to add before we wrap up here? Yeah, I mean, I've had my rambles. I think I've already told a lot of people, maybe not because I'm on the podcast less nowadays, but my thought is that 2025, you're going to see apartment building construction across the board hit the brakes. And again, this is maybe because I'm biased because of local. So locally, for sure, I think apartment building construction is going to slam on the brakes. I think single family home construction is going to go. And the reason I'm saying that makes sense, and I think I've explained it before, first, look at government incentives. They're doing longer AMs on insured product for new homes. They're increasing the insured limit. Combined with all of the people that now live here, they came here with intention to invest in the real estate, and they want to own a house, and this is going to give them that opportunity to do so. They've also indicated potential removing HST from new homes.
Right.
And so that might spur a huge growth. The thing that I'm thinking that I actually didn't consider when running these numbers is if they remove HST on new homes, that'll be huge for Toronto as well, because of all the condo projects that they have. Those are single family homes that they'll be able to strip HST off of, which is 13% in Ontario. So I think the single family home market's going to do well. I think rental apartments across the board there have been overbuilt, and you're seeing it now. And again, I think all of these things are lagging indicators. I have a small book inside our market here, and it is silence in the hills. And you're starting to see people renegotiate their rents and things to come down. And so they've successfully overbuilt the marketplace, and we haven't even seen all of it yet because immigration's been cut. The only asterisk to this whole thing is if a war pops off and there's a huge influx of refugees, or they've overnight cranked the immigration numbers back through the roof, which I just can't see happening in that short of a period of time.
Yeah, you're right. In that short of a time, it's unlikely. Just thinking back to starts. So if it's a 24 unit building being started, is that one start or is that 24 starts?
That's 24 starts.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing. And I'm going locally.
And that makes sense why it's so big locally here this past year.
Exactly. Every apartment building under the earth started here in the last 12 months.
I should have went minus 30.
Versus, I think you're going to see all those stop, but then I think across Canada, some of that slack's going to get picked up with some of these condo buildings.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I went, what did I say nationally? I think I said +4 nationally, right? So I think the fact that it's going to shift back to more starts in the bigger centers is kind of what's driving my number.
Otherwise, it's a guess, right? Because there's so many factors influencing this.
With rates down and HST stripped. And insurable mortgages on the condos. I didn't think about that part. So it should be interesting to see. Anyways, it's this next. I said this about 2024, just concerned in general. At some point, the shoe's going to drop, in my opinion. A lot of guys don't think so. They think that there's just so much money out. The banks will just continuously restructure to find merit within it. I just don't see how that works. But again, I haven't been in the market long enough to be able to
see what the cycle's going to look like.
It's
going to be an interesting year, Neil. That was a fun one. Anything else?
No, stress. Check before we cut out here. I had written some notes down before this. Where was it? Oh, yeah. And then that's the other thing I want to touch on was at the end of 2025, I think we might start seeing rate growth. And the reason being is inflation resuming. And that's maybe not, because there's two considerations here. Our dollar's so low, so everything that we buy on is expensive. The tariffs may very well come in. It sounds like Justin Trudeau might resign in advance, and I think that might help to alleviate the potential tariff
He might have
risk.
resigned before this episode comes out.
He may have. We're in the thick of it. His cabinet's running away from him.
Crazy.
But if that stuff happens, it could have such a detrimental impact and cause a bunch of inflation, and ultimately they might try and increase rates to try and prop our currency back up. Which is going to be craziness. It could be a quadruple whammy where everything, all goods are expensive, housing's expensive, money's expensive. It could just absolutely destroy us. But they might get stuck in a position where they have to do so. And the other thing that's intense is you see long-term yields are not coming down; they're actually going up, which is also typically an indicating factor. But a bigger indicator is that it means people aren't investing in Canada, which usually happens when our currency is this low. But it's early days. So, anyways, those are the things I have on here. What else did I have with my last thing? Trump victory. Oh, making us a 51st state. You've been seeing a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big joke for the most part. But someone read to me today that he made a comment that his offering would be for everyone's Canadian dollar to go 1-to-1 for US dollars. So if we converted, you have $100,000 Canadian, it turns into $100,000 US.
You get a decent amount of people taking that deal right now.
That's a very interesting proposition because you're adding 35, 40% on your money instantly.
Yeah.
So
is it worth it though? God bless America.
God bless America.
Did you see the commentary piece in All Nova Scotia this morning about going the other way? That Canada should go after Maine or Alaska to make it the 11th province?
Oh my God. No
It
comment.
was obviously a jest, but I thought it was kind of funny.
That is funny. I should look. I missed that.
Good stuff. All right, Neal, glad to be back with you. And thanks, everybody, for listening.
Peace.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening, guys. It's Neal, your co-host and co-founder at Keystone Mortgage Investment Corp and Director of Investor Relations. I'm also a real estate agent, real estate investor, and business owner.
And your co-host and co-founder of Keystone Mortgage Investment Corporation, Ryan McNeil. Keystone MIC is licensed under the Mortgage Regulations Act of Nova Scotia, license number 3000844, and through FCMB, license 89280. Keep in mind, the views of this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not financial advice.